So how are you?
We're good. We had a day off yesterday. This is a very hectic tour, extremely hectic. We started the tour in Norway and did 4 shows there, and then we had a couple of days to ship all the gear over to Germany and travel over there. But after those Norwegian shows, it's just a show every day, and then now we have one more off day on the tour, and the first was yesterday. So I just talked to the guys because we were all separate places yesterday, and everyone seems to be revitalized today, feeling that it was very nice to have a day off. We celebrated my birthday yesterday, so Frost and I and Jonna, the keyboard player, went to Paul Bocuse.
Yeah.
So it was very nice.
So happy birthday. Yeah, exceptional, yeah. Nice weather, do you think? Is your skin cold?
What?
Is your skin cold?
Oh,
I think that there's a fine for having wordplays like that.
Sometimes metaphors are being taken a little bit too literal by the press. Yeah.
Oh. The Edge of Neo requires several listening to understand its subtleties. This album is really dark, heavy, and slowly comes over you. Do you think it's a break between the first 3 albums and the last 3 ones?
Well, I could answer it probably in a different way than Satyr, so he will have to talk about it from a composer's view. While I'm also a listener on the outside, I feel that each album that Satyricon make has an individual character and vibe, and I understand that you experience a certain schism between the first 3 albums that have lots of melodies and harmonies that are quite epic and based on more medieval or folky or epic themes and feelings, while the later albums are definitely harsher, way more direct, and there's less melodies and harmonies and much more of the raw and more straightforward rock and roll drive in music. And I still think that the albums that have been made since Rebel Extravaganza doesn't really follow any kind of particular path. There is no kind of theme or concepts or anything. To me, the Age of Nero is something that stands on its own, that cannot really be compared to any of our earlier albums, just like you cannot really compare a human being to another. Then I think that, you know, as organic life forms with such a strong character all their own, the albums aren't really comparable to each other. It's like, you know, comparing apples and oranges. It's quite meaningless to try to draw too many comparisons. Probably obviously here at Satyricon you can hear certain traces of development, but I think that the feeling, the vibe, and the journeys that the Age of Nero takes you on are very, very different from, you know, the Now Diabolical ones or any of the earlier albums' journeys. And I also happen to think that never have Satyricon been able to move the listener to such an extent as now. Never have I had that power and that ability to really bring the listener somewhere. And I think that's the whole point of the music. That's its communicative power, and that speaks of better composition and better totality of the whole music that you make.
You used horns in your music and you took metal to another level. Why horns?
We feel that it's something that blends really well with not only metal music but our music in particular. Now, it's the same with, you know, if you look at, for example, something like the harp, right? Harp,
Mhm.
yeah. It's a quite specific instrument, and it's being used in many different kinds of music, but it certainly works better for some things than others, right? And it's the same with brass, with tubas and trombones and things like that. They have, they are perhaps, especially tuba, being a quite particular instrument. It has lots of, it's low end sounds, without getting too specific for your listeners, but it's sounds very big, right? So if you are in a setting where you wanted to use something that is discreet and subtle, it's maybe not the best instrument for that. So what I'm trying to say is that what we've chosen is something that is not just something on the outside that we find to be interesting, but something that we think is very suitable for, as I said, metal music, but also for Satyricon's metal music. It works really well sonically with what we do. And also, personally, I really love the sound of brass. I think it sounds fantastic. It gives me just like when we recorded some brass for Densista on the H Nero. I said to the brass players, because I hadn't worked with them for a while, when they were warming up, when I came into the studio in the morning, and I said to them, it's fantastic just to hear you warm up, just the sound of it, because it's so powerful and rich in sound. And we'll see what the future holds. Satyricon is always a band interested in trying, not for the sake of trying new things, but to see where it can take our music.